with me if you want to live. You just don't turn it off!
Just One of the Guys was released in 1985, directed by Lisa Gottlieb and starring Joyce Hyser, Clayton Rohner, and Billy Jayne. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason. Welcome back to Backtrack Cinema. In this review, we'll be talking about Just One of the Guys from 1985. This movie, I haven't seen this movie in years and years and years. And, I want to cover a lot of 1985 this year for the 40th anniversary. So I thought, why not? Let's put on Just One of the Guys. I don't remember much of it, except for the one scene I think that we all know about where she flashes the camera and all that jazz. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the iconic moments. Is this a gender-bending comedy that you never knew about? Let me know in the comments below if you know what this movie is, or if you've heard of this movie, or if you haven't. Go back, go watch the movie, come back and let me know what you think about this movie. I think there's more layers to the movie than it gets credit for, or at least it didn't get the credit for back then. The climate we live in now, I'm not too sure if this movie could be made. Probably not. You definitely have to do a whole new angle on it on some kind. The more I was thinking about the movie, I go, there was a lot more to say there than your average like rom-com, let's say. So if we run down the story here, we have a high school student, Terry Griffith. She's an aspiring journalist, and she enters this contest in high school. She writes this article, and she doesn't get chosen as the winner to win this internship at a local newspaper. It goes to these two other guys, and she thinks she's been discriminated against because she's a girl. So what she does is, with the help of her brother, she poses as a boy, cuts her hair short, poses as a boy, dresses like a boy, and then she rolls into a different high school to prove this. And when she does this, she makes friends with this outcast dude who loves James Brown, all that kind of stuff. They become friends, and she falls in love with them. You know how these things go. Go guy meets girl, guy loses girl, guy gets girl back. You get this perspective through this teenage girl, the life lessons she learns. And the biggest thing about this movie is I really did like the character of Terry Griffith, played by Joyce Hyser. I think she did a really good job playing this character and playing both characters. You know what I mean? I think she's a lot better when she's posing as a boy. It's loosely based on Shakespearean work called The Twelfth Night, but the movie was also, oddly enough, filmed in order. Like most movies, they film the ending or they go to the middle. It's all scattered. So the moment we meet the character, that would have been her first scene. And I actually think she didn't really grasp the character yet.
Sometimes I just wish I were a guy.
I found her to be a lot more stiff and wooden in the opening scenes. When she poses as a boy, I think she's really good from that point on. It really has command of the character. And when she switches back to herself again, a teenage girl, she's really good as well.
Yeah, but I got this one rule. I never go out with girls who say bitchin'.
I think she did a good job. I think she has the facial features. I'm not saying she's man-like, but she easier to pose as a boy because she just has certain facial features that makes that transition. She could do that. And Karate Kid was a big movie a year before this, so they really based her boy look off Ralph Macchio.
What a fox. Dresses like Elvis Costello. Looks like the Karate Kid.
Even to the point where we got William Zabka as the local bully in the high school in here. And he was like, so I've read somewhere that he's part of the Bully trilogy. He was in Karate Kid, and then he was in this, and then he was in Back to School as a bully. There's always a blonde asshole in one of these movies, right? But I just really like the life lessons she learns. I like when she poses as a boy. She completely gets knocked down because she's not in the social status anymore, that high school social status. In her high school, she was the popular girl. She's the pretty girl. She's the smart girl. She's dating an older college guy. She seems to have it all. And when she loses this writing contest, that's all she can focus on, is why she didn't get it. It turns out it had nothing to do with her being a girl, because at this high school she's at, it was just not she's a good writer or anything, but it wasn't an interesting article. And when everything's said and done at the end of this movie, she writes, "I was a teenage boy." And then she wins the internship. I like what I was commentating about a bit on high school social status, You have the bullies, you got the popular kids, you got the kind of the outcast. She starts out as this outcast who's not fitting in when she's posing as a boy. And she makes friends with this guy who she ends up falling for, who doesn't have a lot of confidence. He likes James Brown, he likes music. He's not completely socially awkward. He just doesn't have the confidence, and he dresses a little plain. I like how she teaches him how to dress better and just that gain that more confidence to ask out the girls he wants to ask out. And she ends up falling for him. It all leads into this one moment at the prom. And this is the most iconic scene. She tells him, I'm a girl, and he just doesn't buy it. He doesn't buy it at all, right? And this is where she opens up her chest, and, her boobs are out there. And one of the funniest lines in the movies where he's just like, he goes, "Where do you get off having tits?" That's a funny moment though. But I really found it interesting learning about this movie that, the actress, she had a no nude clause in her contract, but they didn't know how to do the reveal though. How are they going to make the character believe that she was a girl? The actress that decided to do the scene the way we see it. You got to admire her for doing that to serve the story, right? Another thing the movie's saying too is gender identity and what's expected of a man, what's expected of a woman. And what I mean by that is just she's dating this older college guy, and she has to cut her hair to pose as a boy. And when she's getting together with him and stuff like that, and he gets mad at her for not wearing makeup, not cutting her hair. And she's like, it's still me, I'm still the same girl. Just because a woman is not wearing makeup or has their hair short doesn't make them any less of a woman still, or a person. We're all people. We're not objects. It's really showing, the sexism and the objectification of women and stuff like that. Mind you, all in a playful, fun way, and that's all done through her brother, Buddy. Her brother is the freaking horniest dude you'd ever see in your life.
No, you don't. The male body needs sex at all times. It's a living hell.
He's 15. His only goal in life is to get laid. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of fun to be had with his character and everything, but I just found him that it just got dull after a while. Like, because it's more all the jokes of with him is him getting laid, and he's this horny kid and everything like that. But then they just ham it up and ham it up. I think they could have pulled that back a little bit. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought it was all funny and everything like that. But some of his funniest moments are nothing to do with actual sex or nothing. Like when he goes, "I can wash the dishes," and he's putting the dishes back, and he's banging the dishes to get the pizza off, and he's putting them back like that without washing them. That was pretty funny. Some of the funniest stuff too is when Terry has to play herself, and then she has to switch into the other Terry when she's posing as a boy in the same scenes, like in her house when she's meeting someone, and then a girl's coming over, and so she has to turn back into the boy, go back to herself as a girl. All that kind of stuff is kind of funny. She also learns a life lesson about a different perspective about what it's like being a boy, what it's like being a guy, the pressures that guys have too, all the social stuff that guys go through, and all that kind of jazz through this whole movie. How they get bullied. You know what I mean? But she also teaches this one guy who she falls in love with how to stand up for himself too. That was kind of nice. Great soundtrack too. Like Just One of the Guys. Great pop music in this. All that kind of stuff. It's got a really good soundtrack that's very 80s, but very awesome at the beginning. I like also how they show at the beginning of the movie Terry in a bikini. A lot of shots where the camera just lingers on her of how beautiful she is and everything, so that when she poses as the boy, you're like, wow, what a transition. She actually, can pass as a boy here. So it did a really good job with her transition and everything like that. It's one of those movies you put on, you forget about it when you watch it. It's like, it's a rom-com. It's got some laughs. But it's got there's several layers actually to it. And even watching it now, I think you can get something out of it. Not everything works about it. I mean, I'm sure the woke police would tear this movie apart, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. If you like comedies and 80s comedies, why not put on Just One of the Guys? I think you guys will have a decent time with it. I'm going to give Just One of the Guys a C+. But what about you guys? What did you think of Just One of the Guys? Did you like it? Don't you like it? Have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Come back, watch this review. Let's have a great discussion in the comments about Just One of the Guys for sure. And here's your next video to watch on the channel. Go down the rabbit hole, as I always say. Check out the channel, all that jazz. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I'll see you next time, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.